All right, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, 303-666-9020. Listing, this is an LJ, obviously, and if you don't know that, that's okay. Might be new to the Jeep world. The way you can tell an LJ from a TJ, because they're basically the same, other than one major component or one major feature, the LJs are longer in the rear of them. The front half, basically from that roll bar there forward, is a TJ, and then the back half is where they get longer. And they're very desirable because of that. They're very unique. They only made them for 3 years, the 04, 05, 06. And then this is a later one. This is an 06. But as far as the tubs are concerned, as far as the frames are concerned, they're identical for those years. They did different trims on each of them. We won't get into any of that because it's unnecessary. But nonetheless, this is what we would call a pre-dismantle. A lot of our Wranglers, they sell as they come apart, meaning that we don't usually go, I mean, you will notice on our website we have bare tubs. And that can happen, especially if, like, let's say this frame were to sell in that case. But we haven't had this thing really advertised heavily, and partly because it's an LJ and they kind of don't have to be advertised that well. We kind of just sell them as they come in. I don't get them all that often. So if it sits for a bit for us, which they usually don't, but if they do, it's kind of brings in advertising in some roundabout way. So anyway, point is that it's pre-dismantle. So what I mean by that is that it's, you know, people always are like, well, how am I supposed to buy something without being able to see it completely stripped? And we don't expect that by no means. What we usually do is lock somebody in with a deposit, and then we get, since we're a full production yard, we don't really have the time to go around and dismantle every single thing in the yard. So we only usually dismantle as things sell, or as things, you know, are inquired on, as far as, you know, somebody locks it in. There's two reasons you want to do that with us, or one of the driving reasons. One, we give you a little bit better pricing. So the pricing I talked to you earlier about, that's pre-dismantle pricing. If it is bare and is ready to go, we usually are a little bit more on them, but it helps us cash flow the yard that way. So it helps us out, helps you out. That's one reason we do it. And the second thing is, you don't have to worry about, well, what if I can't see something? What if there's rust that we can't see? Or what if there's damage we can't see? We have a guarantee with any of our pre-dismantle stuff that if it's not in as good or better shape than we're describing it as here in this video today, then we'll get you out of it. If you decide, hey, I don't want it, I don't want to pay that much for it, you know, because we couldn't see this damage on it, that's not a problem. Obviously, if there is damage that we didn't see, or rust that we didn't see, which usually isn't the case when we're pretty rust-free yard out here, but, you know, every once in a while, then we always give you the option, say, hey, you know, this is what it's worth to us, and we can go down on it, negotiate the price that way. If it comes out to be as good or better, that's not going to happen. We're not going to go down on the price. So I don't want to make any false conceptions that there's a possibility that we'll go down even further on it if it comes out to be better than it is. But if it does come out to be something that we didn't foresee on it, by all means, there is some negotiating there. And then also if it's just like, hey, I don't want to mess with that, I want something a little bit better, that's fine too. We just cancel out. In some cases, we have something to swap it out with. But in the LJ case of things, you're not going to find that. Not through our yard, just because we don't get a lot of them in. Right now, I have one other frame. So I actually have two frames, this one and one other one. And I had an LJ about a year ago. I get about once a year, I get an LJ in. The last two I've had in were both clean, unwrecked. But the ones before that both had front end damage, which front end damage on one of these, I don't like buying, although sometimes we get them that way. And the reason is because usually if they get hit in the front, they kink right here in the jambs. And then you'll see a little ripple down the side of them. And it's just, once you get that, I mean, if you armor them, you know, or line them like this one already is, you can sometimes hide that, but it's a really hard area to fix on TJs and LJs, even YJs, when they get hit just right in the front. Sometimes if they get hit center on, it doesn't do that. It kind of buckles the center, but doesn't do much to the fenders. But if the fenders get shoved into the tub, it oftentimes does buckle that side. And that's really what we don't want to see. We don't want to see that damage. We don't want to see rust, and we also don't want to see damage in boxing areas. So those are kind of our three qualifiers on what makes like an A, B, or C. An A tub is going to be something that's rust-free, something that doesn't have any body damage, or, you know, maybe door ding, stuff like that. And then if there is any kind of damage, the qualifier there is it an accessible area? Accessible would be like a corner. You can clearly get up to all the way up from the bottom or from the top. There, you don't have to get into what we call like a boxed in area. Not a lot of boxed in areas on TJs, but I'll show you one, the big one here. If you ever get damage in these areas, down in this area, you can look in here. See, this is all boxed in here. So this is a little bit more difficult if you had like a dent here or a jab. Sometimes I've seen some weird stuff here. So again, this one's clean. So the one big thing on this one is it's got a liner on it. And the plan was to sandblast this ourselves because we like to do away with that stuff. Now, somebody might be doing that to it, and that's all fine. We want to sell it to you in original form. But I will tell you on this liner, it wasn't applied very well. You can see how thin it is. I mean, it's super thin in these areas here, down by, I mean, they just didn't prep it very well. You can start seeing here. Look at all this coming up just with flakes here. So I don't want to misconceive with anybody, though. Liners are a pain in the ass. I mean, this shit should come off without too much effort, but there's going to be some effort being taken here. So the fact that you can get into these seams here and just go to town on this, you might even be able to do it with a real high pressure washer if you get a hold of one. We have a decent one, but unfortunately it's the PSI has been, it's an old compressor, not a compressor but washer, and it's doesn't really do it like what it used to, but in its glory days it definitely would. So, and then roll bars, again, for the way we sell these things, it's going to be completely split down to just the bare tub. The dash will come out, the heater boxes, the seats, the consoles, tailgates. This has actually got some damage up here. This was a theft recovery, and I love theft recoveries as long as they don't kill them when they, you know, I mean, obviously I don't want people stealing shit, but in the sense of when we buy them, if we get something like that, a lot of times theft recoveries can be really clean. And this one was not bad. I mean, you could tell they had done something dumb up here. So they creamed that windshield frame. But that's the extent of the damage on this thing, which is nice. So it's got a nice tailgate on it. Again, they just didn't prep this stuff well at all. So what you get is better. I mean, there's bare paint right there. Again, better for the guys out there. They don't really want that stuff on them. Here's the light. The light's a lot better here. Of course, I'm getting a call, so I'll have to answer Tony here in a second. But you can see there's a good little. So yeah, I think this stuff, without too much effort, you can get it up. If you get a, what's it called? A solvent or something on it, it might do wonders for it, is making it easier for you. Okay. So, and then the only other areas that really we can look at, you know, besides the floorboards, which this one had a hard top, which is obviously sold, and then the seats are not factory. Those are Sahara seats. I have an early one. Why would somebody do early seats in a later one? Give you a little bit of, the biggest reason for this is for people who are a little shorter. They like these earlier seats because the bolsters in them are a lot thicker. The 03 to 06 style seat is a little bit more rugged, meaning that they last a little bit longer than these early style, but they're a little less comfortable because of that. And they have a lot less cushion here. And for tall guys like myself, I can go either way. I like these seats, but I like the later ones too. But like when my wife drives them, she actually prefers the earlier ones because she feels like she sits up a little higher. The trick to this though, and I think they might have done this too on this one. Nope. You can actually put spacers in these 03 to 06 seats underneath, and that'll boost them up a little too. They do have a different feeling, the 9702, so I see why they do these. But if you want originality and you care about that stuff, then 03 to 06 is the way to go. It is an 03 to 06 rear seat. Again, that stuff we sell separately, but I was going to show you the floor here, and you can see just how clean that is. So that floor is absolutely beautiful, not a spot of rust on it, and it's not lined inside, which makes it way easier if you're not wanting a liner on it, because the liners on the inside are the hardest to get out. So this doesn't have any liner on the inside, it's just an outside liner, and it's a black Jeep. That's, matter of fact, this isn't even lined up here, not that that matters, but this is like a different, say they put stuff all over this thing, it's different. That's not even the same kind of material. There's like a gasket or something there. Okay, a little bit of bleed through there, but it feels good on both sides. I don't think we'll see anything there on it. And then the only other area that I always like to show on these is the torque pockets. And obviously, this would be the area that if there was damage, which there's not, you can actually see these pretty well up through here. This is all nice and clean. If they start blowing out, they'll start bleeding through this area, and you'll start getting cracking. And these up through here, a little bit of oxidation, but this is all nice and clean there. Frame should be a nice clean frame. And then I'll show you the other side as well. And then I think this tank, because these are the expensive tanks, and these, yeah, normally can't show you underneath this thing, but because the tank's been pulled on it. Pretty clean. A little bit, like I said, a little bit of oxidation on some of the ports, but all the mounts here, I don't see any rot on this thing whatsoever. But, you know, again, in the case that we do find something or we pull one of these, because obviously we still got to pull all the body bolts. There's a total of 10, not including the front one that makes 11. If we do pull one of those and it breaks, or, you know, or something that we didn't foresee happens to it, then we immediately let you know. And also you'll get a final approval video from us that's equally as long and probably just as equally as boring as this one is. I always call these my boring videos. But it's nice for you because you'll be able to see exactly what it is you're getting, as well as, yeah, these are beautiful. As well as give us the green light, which is that's what we want from you anyway. And if there's something you don't like on it, then that's time to bring it up. In 22 years of doing tubs and frames, which is one of the big things we're known for, I've never once had a tub or a frame come back. Now, years ago, we had a couple mishaps in the yard where some of my guys mixed up some frames, and that was a very, very, very expensive mistake. They had we had 7 frames go out. I was actually on vacation, excuse me. And of the 7, 4 of them got flipped around. And it wasn't like just simple flips. So anyway, that was the worst that ever happened. And we made it right and got everybody the right frame, but it took us a while and it wasn't cheap. And we had one in Maine, New Jersey, Florida. I think the other one was South Carolina. So it was expensive to get them all flipped back around. But, you know, that's what we do. No matter what happens, you know, we'll stand by it. But like I said, something like this, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And because I'm doing it, I own the shop and been doing it so long, you don't have to worry about any of that other malarkey happening. So, okay. So again, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com. And again, you won't see this tub up online unless by any chance it doesn't sell and that frame happens to sell first. And then that tub will get completely dismantled and listed, and then you would see it online. And I only preface that because a lot of people will watch these videos and go, man, I've been looking for that tub and it just never appeared. Or I've been looking for that frame and it never popped up on the site. And that's why I always caution, if you watch this video, I would love for you to check out our website, but don't expect these parts always end up there. A lot of times they sell beforehand. So if you see it, you happen to catch us early on, I already talked to one guy about this tub, so it's very likely it's spoken for. But if not, you know, call us, 303-666-9020. Don't mess around with texting. We're very slow with texting, very slow with email. Calling is the best way. It's the easiest way, and we ship all over the world. I just went in, and again, on my own thing, I mean, I went all the way out to Maine this May. Well, we just had a trip 2 weeks ago. My hotshot crew left here, and they didn't go all the way out to Maine that time, but they got out to New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, New Hampshire. So we get out there to you guys. We bring stuff to you, and we know that it's extremely difficult. I had a guy from New York call me last week and said, hey, I'm going to come down and pick up a tub. I'm like, man, I can ship you it a lot cheaper. He made it to Ohio and said, this is too long. and ended up having it shipped to his cousin there in Ohio, and then he went down and picked it up from there. But anyway, point is that it's not exorbitantly expensive, at least through us, because we have our own hotshot crew. Or myself, that does our own runs. So I look forward to speaking with you guys or hearing from you. And we have 7 acres here. The yard is in kind of shambles right now. Everything is on the ground. Well, palleted or on the ground, at least the parts that can go. Still, our internal parts are still tucked away inside. But the main thing is right now we're shifting our yard, just moving it within our own yard. We're not moving anywhere else. We already did that from Denver up to here, and that was already a big pain in the ass. But we're putting up a building, which is a big thing out here. Super excited for that. Because of that, got to move everything out of the way. So it's been a huge ordeal. And that's why it looks a little bit shambles. And I'm going to really look at videos like this. Oh, these stupid flies. We're almost to that time of year. These little buggers are going to be gone. But I swear at the end of the year, they always get super annoying. They know death's around the corner. So, all right. Again, Jeremy here, Jeeps Unlimited, partsbreakers.com, Western Colorado, Grand Junction, Colorado, 303-666-9020. I appreciate it. Have a great day.